Buckle up for this one because it's going to be fun. The episode you are going to hear today was over a decade in the making. Seriously. LuAnn Niagara is the host of A Well-Designed Business. The podcast launched in 2016 and really set the standard for what a business of design podcast should be. LuAnn's focus was then and is today a complete laser focus on helping designers uplevel their design studios. LuAnn was hosting a session for the KBIS Podcast Studio this year in Orlando, and she and I had some time during the show. Something we've been talking about this for a long time, but we had some time during the show, and I can't remember who brought up the idea. I think it was me who suggested to LuAnn that this would be a great time for us to record a conversation about our own journey and collaborate on a crossover episode. It could be fun. Yeah, it was fun. We talked about so much, but what is really special about this, if you continue to listen here, you are going to get, I'm sure, a vastly different presentation than you're going to get on LuAnn's show. The exact same conversation will air on both feeds, but the context and philosophy is different, which is why I love crossover episodes so much. I have a tremendous amount of respect for LuAnn. She has done something special. If you're a designer, architect, maker, you know what I mean. She created something from nothing. And every one of us here knows exactly how hard that is. In setting up this interview, I thought about it a lot, and I thought about what did I want it to sound like? What do I want your takeaway to be from this? I want to provide both context and a bit of storytelling. You're going to hear, what is it, 3 or 4? I think it's 4. Very brief clips, not so brief, but a little, kind of brief. Before we get into my conversation with LuAnn, it's been a while since I shared this on the show, but in addition to my broadcast experience in music and sports, I was the general manager and program director for Playboy Radio. In that role, I hosted a show on the channel called the Playboy Radio Interview. The show was a one-on-one with guests that I thought would resonate with the audience by telling unique and personal stories about their journey. And what I want you to realize as you listen to these is that we all go through many of the same things, experience the same challenges, and nobody in life achieves anything without a little luck and a little support. That support can come from family and friends. It can come from a trusted advisor. It can come in the form of hearing stories about others told by industry voices like LuAnn or me. The first clip you're going to hear is U.S. men's national hockey legend, Mike Eruzione. You wound up here where you are due to a series of circumstances that aren't always within your control. Guess what? Nobody's is. It's what you do next and how you need to keep going, because you never know where that big opportunity is going to come from. If you're a designer at the highest level, there's still something more. Maybe it's thinking about legacy. If you're a designer who's in the kind of the middle range, in the middle of your career, you're thinking to get to that next tier. If you're a beginning designer, it's daunting, it's scary, trying to figure out how to get new clients, how to get press, how how to, right? And if there's a story that could get you motivated, this is the one. And you're going to hear from Mike right after this. At the highest level of design, the absolute best specifying designers, architects, landscape designers are all highly focused on the technology and performance of products and materials today. You have to, because the products you specify for your projects have to perform and they have to last. That's one of the reasons why I am so proud to be working with TimberTech. Their focus on the technical renaissance of synthetic decking is literally changing the conversation about innovation and performance. It pulls focus on 3 priorities homeowners have and expect from the products their designers and architects specify for their luxury projects. 1, aesthetics must match the overall design and fit visually. 2, durability and maintenance. I've told you about my board flipping stories from my own wood decks. Clients not only want beauty, but they want ease of use, and they want it to last for decades. 3, sustainably made. Clients are more conscious of the environment now, and they want the same of their materials. TimberTech hits each one of these elements with a product that not only meets expectations, they exceed them. TimberTech makes a synthetic decking that looks just like wood, color and embossed wood grain for a natural appearance. Their composite decking is technologically superior, as it has been created to last for decades, and it's manufactured with up to 85% recycled material. Their advanced PVC, vintage, and landmark collections have a Class A flame spread rating, making these products an amazing choice for wildfire-prone areas, which unfortunately continues to grow on the risk map. Check the show notes for more information about this and to find the nearest showroom or lumberyard where you can find TimberTech, or you can check them out directly, timbertech.com.
You had a great career at BU. 20 goals per season average for over 4 years. Coach Jack Parker called you Pete Rose on skates.
Well, that was a great compliment. As at the time, I guess, if you're looking back on Pete Rose's career as an athlete, he was called Charlie Hustle, and I think that's kind of how I played hockey. So I took that as a great compliment. Unfortunately, the way Pete's career ended was a little different, but I think for me, that's kind of how I played. Those are the values that my dad always taught me, that whenever you played something, you played hard and you worked hard, and I think that's kind of the MO that I had as an athlete and clearly as a hockey player.
Was it your relationship with your dad that really got you on the ice? Did he play?
No, it's funny. My dad couldn't ice skate, but as I developed as a player, he became an expert in the game. We kind of laughed about it, and unfortunately, my dad passed away a few months ago at a great age of 93. But my dad was a big supporter and a big fan, as was my mother. I grew up in a typical kind of Italian neighborhood, a household where our parents had great values and supported their kids, all kids. I have 4 sisters and a brother, and they supported each and every one of us in anything that we did. And I think that love and support was always something that kind of drove me to kind of just be the best I could be and to try to be successful. And obviously, looking back, it worked out well.
Do you think that type of support is what is how you developed as your style? Is that how you played the game? Because you just, your dad told you you got to go out. Anything you do, you're going to play to the best of your ability. So that's how you learn
Absolutely.
the game?
Yeah, my dad always said he didn't care if I hit home runs or if I struck out with the bases loaded. It didn't matter. What mattered that I ran out to my position and I ran back and that I hustled and I worked hard. He could understand that, missing a breakaway or striking out or dropping a punt. Those things happen in sports, but he could never ever accept that I wasn't working hard every time I stepped on the field, whatever the sport was.
It's a great lesson. How did you wind up on the U.S. men's national team?
Well, again, it's a crazy, crazy story. When I graduated from Boston University, the New York Rangers had my rights, and I went to camp with the New York Rangers. That was 1977 and 1978. And the Rangers had a lot of great players on the roster that year, and they decided that they weren't going to sign me to a pro contract, and they sent me to Toledo, Ohio. And I played in Toledo, Ohio as an amateur. I was paid every week. I was not under contract with the team other than just a weekly kind of salary. And I made, I think, $3,500 my first year in Toledo, which covered my room and board and expenses. Again, so I had a great year. I was one of the top scorers on the team. I was named the American-born Rookie of the Year, and I was all set to sign with the New York Rangers. Well, John Ferguson, who was the general manager of the New York Rangers, got fired, and Fred Sherrow took over. And Fred Sherrow was not going to sign any of John Ferguson's players. So I was faced with the fact that I had no pro contract offer and decided to go back to Toledo as an amateur and try out for the '80 Olympic team. And again, if John Ferguson never got fired, I would have turned pro with the New York Rangers, and I would never been able to play on the Olympic team because pros weren't allowed in 1980. So I went back to Toledo, had a very good year back there again, got invited to try out for the Olympic team, and was fortunate to be selected. I was one of 26 players, and then fortunately survived the 6 cuts to make the 20 number to go to Lake Placid.
What did it mean to you at the time? What did it mean? You know, you look at what it means now, and especially with the pros playing, I think there's a different message. There's a different feeling. What was it at the time about the national team? Was it just a source of pride? Was it that you were playing for your country? What was it about that?
It really is. You put a jersey on that says USA across the front. It's totally different than anything else. You know, when I was in high school playing for Winter Pie, it was a great pride because it was your community and your town. Boston University was a great school with a great tradition and a great program. But the United States on your front, you're representing everybody, and that's a special feeling to have. And to be able to do it, to be able to compete, and to fast forward to go to Lake Placid and to compete in your own country, for your country, it's a great feeling of pride and accomplishment.
The next segment I want you to hear is actor Tom Sizemore. Sizemore has since passed, but his lessons are eternal, and he still has a little something to share. I'm not going to set this clip up too much because I think it speaks for itself. The concept is challenge, and the friends and supporters who help us along the way.
You've had the benefit of working with other remarkable ensembles. Heat, you had an amazing cast.
That's one of the best casts ever assembled.
Absolutely. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, Natalie Portman. She must have been...
Jonathan Voight.
Yeah.
John Voight, Ashley Judd, Michael T. Williamson, Dennis Haysbert.
Yeah.
Kevin Gage, myself, Jeremy Piven's first movie, or second movie.
Is that
he plays
right?
the veterinarian. After Val gets shot, Bob goes, he's suturing up Val, and he goes, okay, let me get your shirt. And Jeremy improv this one line. He goes, my shirt? He goes, your shirt. He goes, my daughter gave it to me for Father's Day. It was a great line because he's running from the police, just killed a bunch of cops.
That whole movie, the quotables are remarkable. I had heard that you developed a strong bond with Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Did that happen on that set, or did you know each other before that?
I met him right prior to the movie, like 6 months. He saw in a couple days span, he saw a screening of True Romance and a screening of Natural Born Killers, which Mr. De Niro was the propulsion behind my meeting Michael Mann and being cast in the movie. Michael hadn't seen those, but they hadn't come out yet, but Bob had been to screenings of them. And my agent called me. We're at the same agency, and said that Bob De Niro wanted to meet me. I didn't believe him, actually. I said, "Oh, Fred, come on! What are you talking about? Meet me where? We're doing what for?" He wants to meet you at the Monkey Bar. Those were the days of the Monkey Bar back in the mid '90s in L.A. And Jack Nicholson's. You remember the place? You've heard of the place, right?
Yeah.
It was on Gardner and right off Beverly. And he wanted to meet me the next night, and I went and met him, and it was awkward. I was very nervous, but he's a shy person, and it went well though. And then he said, "I'm going to coordinate this. I'll get back to you. I'll get back to your agent." We had the same agent, Fred Spector, and Fred will call you about meeting Michael, and I'm going to. And I said something along the lines, "I'm going to recommend that he cast you."
I've heard it said that you could track substance abuse in your life back to the age of 15. It's played a major role in your life.
Well, it was marijuana back then. I didn't use hard narcotics until I had made money. The first time I ever used hard narcotics was during Heart and Souls. I was 32, I believe. It's kind of late in the game to start.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. This is the Playboy Radio interview with actor Tom Sizemore. There's a story I believe you covered in your book, and I've heard that you told it before on radio, but I've never heard it myself, on how Robert De Niro was instrumental in getting you help.
Initially,
Heat?
Yeah, well, it was the day I wrapped Heat. I was supposed to go to treatment. I had agreed, like 3 weeks prior to that. It had become apparent. My brother had been out to visit my mother. Bob was calling them because he had confronted me because he knew something was wrong, and it wasn't that obvious. You know, he knew. And other people were like, well, "What's going on with him?" But didn't think it was what it was. He knew what it was. He told me what it was. He said, "You're using heroin," and I was shocked because he was right.
How do you think he knew?
He's a kind of my eyes were pinned. You know, it makes your pupils dilate. Someone's talking to you and you go, hang on. You nod out. I mean, I didn't do any of that, but I was close to doing it. I mean, I was in an altered state. I'm not on drugs now. I think you can tell. I'm not in any way altered.
Right.
My voice, temperament is, when you're on drugs, I mean, you don't even know what you're doing. You know, you think you sound cool or you look cool, and you don't. They really lie to you. So anyway, he knew some of the symptoms of heroin abuse, and I had them. And I frequently would ask to go to the restroom. You know, we have like a 10-minute setup. You know, we got a 10-minute break, and the trailer's a minute away. I got time to go in there and do my thing and come back and be in time. But no one has to go to the restroom, 3 times an hour, 4 times an hour. If in fact I did that, but I'm sure I did. And so he confronted me, and he's not an easy person to lie to, so I didn't. I wanted to, because I was ashamed. He was my hero.
Did he go to your mother's house looking for you?
Oh, no. He flew my mother in.
He flew her in?
Yeah, to look for me.
Okay.
Because when I was supposed to go to rehab, when I got shot in the movie, I got shot in the head.
Yeah.
Okay. I was supposed to go to rehab right after this scene. I was supposed to go to Santa Monica, John Wayne Airport, or whatever airport, and get on a private jet that Bob has leased and fly to Tucson, Arizona, and then get picked up by the Sierra Tucson staff and driven to rehab. I've never been to rehab, right? I don't want to go. Even though I wanted to quit, but I didn't want to go to rehab. I mean, it was scary. I'd be by myself, and I knew about withdrawal a little bit, and I just didn't want to go. I was scared, and also I was addicted. I wanted to get high. My assistant at the time was this young kid named Glenn Schneider, who's now become one of the most successful caterers in L.A. And Glenn, if you're listening, hey kid, I'm sorry I put you through all that. And he was a nice Jewish kid from the Upper East Side. He had to be really long hair, and it would just drip all the time. He had to deal with me. I was hard to deal with, and not because I was mean or anything. It's just I just wasn't always where I was supposed to be. Like when he'd come to get me up in the morning, I wouldn't be in my apartment. He'd have to find me. I had numerous hotels in that city. I was a young man. I had some girlfriends and stuff. Well, and I wasn't trying to be found either.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I wasn't trying to be late, but I wasn't helping him to find me. The poor guy was just running around like a maniac.
Yeah. So, and at the time, you got girls, you got money, you're famous, I'm
newly famous too, so it's all new.
Yeah. So
I'm doing everything I can do I'm trying to get all the juice out of this grape of fame I can.
Right.
Initially. Anyway, I told him before the last shot, I said, Glenn, I want you to drive the car, the Mustang, put the top down and put it right here by this hedge where we shot the scene, right behind me. He said, Tom, what are you up to? I went, listen to me, mother. I pay you $1,200 a week. Bring the car over here with the top down. And when I get in it, drive away. He went, I don't want to do it. I went, so he did it, right? So I get shot in the head and I fall down. I die, right? And Pacino comes over and picks up the girl. And Michael goes, cut. And I jump up. I go, I don't get this prosthetics off my forehead. The prosthetics off my forehead. And Michael knew about it. Bob had apprised him of it. He goes, hey, Tom, you know what you got to do, right? I went, yeah. So I'm walking this way, and all of a sudden I turn, I sprint, and I dive over this hedge into the back seat of my Mustang. And I hit the Mustang. In the back seat, I hit my chin on the far part of the car. Anyway, and I went, drive! For a second, bank robbers. And we're driving. And poor Glenn's in the front seat. He goes, I really think it's a bad idea. I want to be part of this. I'm only 19 years old. I'm from New York. I got a nice family. I'm a nice Jewish kid. Tom, what are you doing? Please stop it. I went, get a hold of yourself, man.
He's like, the camera's still rolling. Holy cow.
It was cuckoo. And I went to I went to Shutters.
Yeah.
The hotel Shutters. And
in Santa Monica.
Yeah, I was lazy. Like De Niro knew I liked that hotel. He knew I liked the Lowe's and Chateau Marmont, and those are my 3 hotels. So of course he comes to the Shutters, within hours, and he tells the guy at the door, the desk. He goes, "Hey, look, I'm looking for Tom. I know he's under a different name. Tom Sizemore's here. Tell him where he is. His life's in danger." And they gave me up right away. He's in 21A. I'm up there, half naked, eyes a kite. Someone knocks on my door. I think it's somebody I called, right? And I open the door. This. And it's him. I closed it.
Was he there with your mom? Was your mom?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was not nice. It was unkind.
Okay.
It was not unkind. It was startling. And I opened the door, and I went and got myself together, and I went off to rehab, and I stayed sober for a number of years.
I bring it up because I think I find it truly amazing. I think it says a lot about Robert De Niro. I think it says a ton about you. He didn't have to care. He
didn't have to do anything. We haven't talked a number of years. He talked to my mother some years ago, and he said that he thought he might be part of my problem because I could always call him to help me get out of trouble to a certain degree. And in the beginning, that was true. But once the police got involved, there was no one who could really get me out of trouble. But he said that he thought I had become. And he was right. He had become part of my problem, and insofar as he would help me. I mean, when I was using heroin in the movie, he didn't tell anybody. I mean, he got me through the movie. He's a great guy. He was a really, really super duper kind person to me back then. I haven't talked to him in some time, but I love him.
It doesn't get more real or powerful than that. Next up is George Lopez. He and I were speaking about community, that of the musicians playing the upcoming Playboy Jazz Festival, which he was hosting, emceeing rather, and how creatives like musicians and comics really help each other along the way. I share this in the hope that our industry continues to help each other in an ever chaotic and complicated world and industry. But having a community, helping each other do better doesn't mean that one does better while the other fails. I think social media has made us all a little too competitive with each other. And I don't think it always has to be that way. There are clients for every designer and architect. There are listeners for every podcast. And I think we need to do more to help each other. And I think we do that through community. Here's what George had to say about that.
What do you think it is about comics, comedians, and the Playboy Jazz Festival? You have Bill Cosby, as you mentioned, Flip Wilson, Steve Allen, and now you as Bill's successor. What is it about comedians and this particular event? Because it seems to fit so well, whereas it might not. One might think it wouldn't.
Well, I believe that in your field and in performing, there's a camaraderie that if you see two Marines or anybody that's been in the service, they have an ultimate respect for each other because they know what they've been through. Veterans of wars and people who have served time. And I remember going to Walter Reed and seeing soldiers who were injured who would never go back to battle. But the one thing that they always wanted to do was go back to their guys. And never have those guys ever said, why me? It was all for one. And in comedians and in musicians and jazz musicians especially, they see each other around and they know the struggles that they've had, as well as comedians. Everybody knows the struggle. You might not always be in the same place at the same time, but you're familiar with each other and you form a brotherhood. And there is kind of like, if it happens to you, it happens to me. Tracy Morgan got in that terrible accident, as well as some other comedians and other people were injured. And as a brother, you feel what that's like, because we've been on the road in the middle of the night. We've seen cars, accidents and things like that. And, I was just with Tracy and Jamie Foxx in Miami doing Rio, and that was like Brazilian music and very heavy music in both of those animated movies. But I think what the bond is the struggle, and the bond is the love of what you're doing. And the fact that you can share stories and share an interest with someone who would only understand if you were there. It's the ultimate, you had to be there.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And what's interesting too is with jazz musicians in particular, like I've never seen before. You have musicians that will work together and help each other out and mentor each other, but with the jazz musicians in particular, I've never seen that bond so strong. Is it the same with comedians?
Comedians, it's not, I don't think is as strong, because everybody travels a lot. There's not, jazz musicians usually form in a group. Comedians really kind of don't perform in a group, but you'll see each other in passing. So there is that there. But the music plays a big part with us. A lot of times we open for bands, or we have bands open for us, and so it pays to keep music alive, and it pays to do comedy. And a lot of guys that even started in the back of the day used to open and probably MC in clubs that had jazz. I know I did.
So I saved a gem for you for the last one. The final clip before we get to my conversation with LuAnn is legendary. It's Henry Winkler on going with his instincts. Imagine when Henry Winkler was on set day one of Happy Days. Actually, this may not have been Happy Days. This might have been Love American Style. I didn't even ask him that. Should have thought about that. Starting off as Arthur Fonzarelli, imagine you're him and you're looking at TikTok and being influenced by what the trends were instead of being yourself or going with your gut and trusting authentic intuition. Things might be different. Imagine you're Arthur Fonzarelli or you're Henry Winkler coming in day one as Arthur Fonzarelli and just doing what you thought was the right thing to do.
You got the Fonz. To quote the article again, I found this fascinating. Quote, the way the writers conceived the role, the Fonz was barely more than a walk-on character, thrown in for a few jokes, always in the background, but Winkler saw him differently. The Fonz would be the prototype for cool, the epitome of discretion, the philosopher dropout who, unlike other greaser stereotypes, never combed his hair, snapped his gum, or smoked a cigarette. How did you decide to make those choices? Because clearly they were atypical for the character.
Yes, and that is why I made it. And it was really simple. It was not any, to my mind, any great shakes. All I thought was every single actor that has ever played a character like this smoked or chewed gum, had a big Garrison belt, or combed their hair all the time. And I decided I'm not going to do that. Then I had the rude awakening on the pilot. It was written, the Fonz goes to the mirror and combs his hair. And I said to the director, I don't think I'm going to do that. And he said, I think you are, because it's written and that's our job. And so I walked to the mirror. I took the comb out. I looked at my hair and I went, hey, it's perfect. And I put the comb back. And that moment, being true to myself and also having to do what was written on the page, defined the character.
And that character decision, is that how you got away with it? Because clearly you were supposed to do something else, but you made a decision. And I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. New to Hollywood, you just got this part. You're told to do one thing. You do something completely different.
Do you know what? I don't know where I got the nerve, because as a human being, I was nervous all the time. As an actor, I just went with my instinct. It was like I was taken over by a Dybbuk.
These concepts, a strong work ethic matters. We all need help and a little luck. Support is as important as giving back and trusting your gut and being authentic. Remember that as you attack this week. So next up, you're going to hear my conversation with LuAnn Niagara, recorded live from KBIS, right after this. If you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you've heard me say this, that the most important word in the design industry is service. Product is important, price is important, selection is important, but stellar service is the premier idea that can make all the difference in the success of a project, any project. how design professionals like you demand great service and your favorite brands in one place with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commission sales professionals. It's really important. It means that their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that with over 60 years of experience in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. Now, you have the Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. Earn 3% in Best Buy gift cards, e-gift cards, or 2.5% in rewards checks for every qualified and delivered sale. In addition to special trade pricing, exclusive offers, access to exclusive special events, and so much more than I could possibly tell you about here. And the cherry on top is access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands and the stellar service, again, from a company that has been serving the industry for over 60 years. Terms and conditions apply to the Pro Rewards program and builder trade incentives. So visit a Pacific Sales expert at a showroom today for full details and to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. The design industry is in the midst of a generational and fundamental change. If you're in the biz, you feel it. I know you do. We all do. Just about every aspect of the industry is growing, changing, and turning into something entirely different due to a number of factors that, not to go into here, but between tariffs and supply chain and political influence, just clients have changed. Pricing has changed. Everything about the industry has changed, except for one thing, the need for strong design and architecture communities. And that's what led to the creation of Shelter Republic, an online community exclusively for the design and architecture communities, a place to engage with other like-minded creatives outside of the prying eyes of clients and the media. Wouldn't you like to belong to a nurturing community where you can have those real, challenging, authentic conversations, watch exclusive design-focused content, take free courses to level up your design business, hear from experts in the industry, guiding you and helping you move ever forward? And it's free to join. No catch, but it's invitation only. This is not like maybe some other programs you've heard of before where you pay a fee, a sizable fee, and go through a quasi-vetting process only to get there and realize that you're kind of just paying for an ad. That is not what this is. If you're a designer or an architect, you qualify. If you want in, email convobydesign@outlook.com and type Shelter Republic in the subject line. That's it. An invitation to join will follow. Call this the anti-social media platform where you can meet, engage, and share ideas in a safe, closed community environment of like-minded creatives. That's what this is. And like I said, it's free to join. Send an email, convobydesign@outlook.com. Subject line is Shelter Republic. It's that simple. And like I said, it's free to join. See you there. This is why I'm so excited to do this. The impromptus make me so happy.
Yeah.
And LuAnn, you and I have been circling each other at every major trade event that we see each other. We wave at each other from across the hall.
All the things.
And we're
just too darn busy.
We've spoken, but we've never actually recorded our conversations.
I know.
And so I love this. And we're doing a he said, she said.
Okay.
We're going to take the same thing. And I imagine what I'm going to do with this is I do a series after this for KBIS. We're in the KBIS Podcast Studio, and afterwards I will go into a whole series on my findings at KBIS. And I will include this in that. And it was funny because you asked me a question. I want to talk about what your background is.
Well, yeah. I don't know what I just said, and you're like, oh, I haven't done it since I was a Playboy. I'm like, wait, what? You're like, wait for the roll tape.
No, I said I haven't done that since I was at Playboy.
Oh, at Playboy.
And it's that explains the look you gave me.
I'm thinking, wait a minute, how could you be?
That totally explains the look you gave me. Okay, now I understand it. No, it was funny. So my background is I'm not a designer. I'm not an architect. I don't come from this industry. I'm a journalist, and my background is in broadcast. So I was in broadcast forever. I was the director of motorsports for CBS Radio out of Dallas. I was a music rep for the Edge and the Eagle in Dallas radio, and one of my stops along the way was I was the general manager and program director for Playboy Radio. So I worked for Playboy Enterprises.
Oh, wow.
And Playboy used to have a channel on Sirius XM. They brought me in to take it off Sirius XM and build a digital pure play for Playboy Radio. So in addition
Talk about peeling back the onion here, Josh.
Yeah, so I oversaw, I think at one point we had about 15 shows, 28 hosts. We had Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction. We had Frank Stallone had a show. It was bananas. And I had a show called the Playboy Radio Interview, which was akin to the interview in the magazine. Okay. My first interview for that was Henry Winkler. And
the Fonz.
Did that for 3 years, and then so much fun. But starting this show, I did it because I had an opportunity to pivot and do what I wanted to do when I grew up. You know that question when you grow up? So that's what I got to go do this, and then started the show in 2013. Your background is not dissimilar.
Yes, in that it's not as a designer, right? Yes.
Yeah. What was the impetus? What made you want to start doing your show?
So with my husband and I opened Window Works in '82, right? And all through the years, we sold direct to consumers, but also to interior designers. And I always admired the interior designers, how hard they work, the number of details that they carry, the creativity. But literally over and over again, I would see them struggle to make money. And at that point, it wasn't my job, it wasn't my business, but I could see it happening. And then, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I'm looking for the next thing. My husband is 15 years older than I am, so I'm 52, he's 60, whatever that is, 7, right? And we are both responsible for every sale that we make at Window Works at this point. And that sale requires you to drive there, knock on the door, and say, "Hi, I'm from Window Works." And we were just seeing the end of the road. And so but we're not like independently wealthy with, everything sitting. So it was like we needed to work and wanted to work for the next 15, 20, 30 years because we're both a little bit maniacal about, work. But it needed to be something sustainable. And, there was a moment I was on somebody else's podcast, and I've told the story on the show, and I just hung up, and I was like, oh, sweet Jesus, that's what I need to do. And so then I just went about figuring out what it would be about, and I saw the gap in this industry for truly teaching the business of design, not talking about it, not in a circle, not avoiding the tough actual conversations about profitability and saying nice things, but not really getting to the meat of it. And that's what I did, and that's where I went, and that was 10 years ago last Sunday.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
You know what's interesting, too, is that most people don't realize. First of all, it's funny. When people, especially at events like this, someone goes, "Oh, you're the podcaster." It's like, nope, I am not. I'm not a podcaster. I'm not.
Right.
And I think that's what's interesting, because when we started our shows, in 2013 when I started, there were no. Debbie Millman had a show.
I know.
I think the Shays Lounge.
Yes.
Remember that one?
Nick.
Nick was great, and I'm sorry he doesn't do it anymore. I think it was great, but most people don't realize the 90% of podcasts die after 90 days.
Oh yeah,
or
most
3
of them
months.
don't make it till their 10th episode.
And there's a reason for that, but it's interesting because now there are so many shows, and it's really interesting because my background in broadcast and in radio, you're starting to see sort of like this competitive nature to it, and it's like, this is not, there should be no competition between shows. You do a show that's primarily about the business of design.
Right.
I don't do the business of design.
Right.
I want to talk about the creative nature.
The inspiration, and how do you get to it, right?
Talking to creatives is what makes me happy.
Yes.
And I think nowadays, and that's what's so special, isn't it, about something like KBIS, is you see people who are like, designers, how do I start a podcast? Let us help you.
Yeah, right?
What do you tell them?
Right. Well, honestly, what I say to anybody who asks me that, my first question is, why do you want one? Right? Because why do you want one? If it's a side hobby, there's a lot easier things to do. And if it's going to be a side hustle, then what is the point, the focus, and the goal? Because if your passion is still in design or building or whatever it is, how is that going to serve you? Is it going to serve you by bringing you leads? And is it going to be lead gen? That's great. But if you're talking to your peers, I don't know how that brings you lead gen. And if you're talking to consumers, that's awesome. But how are you going to be a sound in all that noise? So for me, you're 100% right, Josh. There's room for all of us. Friends didn't, somebody didn't say we're going to have, start a show called Friends because Seinfeld is there with 4 friends. You know what I mean? We all show up in our lane, but you got to know why, because it's too much work. It's not just, what goes into it.
Well, and here's what's interesting too, and why I think it's so important, why I love that we're having a conversation about podcasting. And I really do love this. I came from radio, come from broadcast, and radio ceded leadership to music. They ceded it to Apple, they ceded it to, the record labels, and radio now to social media. TikTok breaks more new artists than radio does.
Wow.
What I think is interesting is our industry has pretty much done the same thing. And this is not a knock on the trade pubs, because I love the trade publications.
Right.
Nothing makes me happier than going through the magazine and flipping through the pages. And I'm a tactile person. I love the feeling of flipping through the pages. But they seeded leadership. They seeded thought leadership by making it just about what you can see on the pages. When we started our shows, they were not telling stories.
No.
The magazines only started telling stories, I want to say, pandemic.
Right. That's a good observation. That's an interesting observation.
That's really what changed. But during the pandemic, if you remember, circulation would drop because they couldn't, if you're doing controlled circ, that's one thing. But if you're doing...
You're relying on it to walk in the Barnes & Noble and pick it up. Nobody was going out to do it. Right?
No.
Right.
And so there was this seeding of leadership, thought leadership, and it opened an opportunity. It opened a door.
Yeah.
And it has made me so happy, which is why it gives us the opportunity to come to KBIS and to be in the KBIS Podcast Studio and to have real conversations and real thoughts. I'm curious, when you think of, how many episodes have you done?
It's 1,100 plus on a well-designed business, and I think we're over 400 on window treatments for profit, I want to say.
Isn't that insane?
It's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers.
And it's funny too, when I talk to designers who say, how do I start a podcast and what do I do? One of the first things I tell them is manage your editorial calendar and manage your content, because now you've got over 1,000 shows. And I hope you know where to find each one.
Oh yeah. Oh no. You're
it's
exactly right. Yes. And it's funny because it wasn't until about 3 years ago did we start to make the actual old school Excel spreadsheet with the title, the guest, the date, and the link. I can go to Megaphone or Libsyn. I can go to that to get it. But about 3 years ago, we were like, this should be at our fingertips. Thank you for waking up, LuAnn, after 7 years and figuring this out, right?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I have, at one point, I think this was about 5 years ago, switched from one host to another.
Yes, us too. We did it 3 years ago, switched.
And it's a thing. I mean, it can be an issue, but thank goodness, I've got drive after drive, I've got duplicate drives. It's one of those things where you have to learn it along the way. The other part is the gear. You have to learn how to be a performer.
Yeah.
The HGTV, remember about 10 or 11 years ago when that was the thing. Every designer wanted a line.
Yeah.
Every designer wanted a show.
Yeah.
And I don't see that anymore. You still have HGTV and you still have HGTV designers, but I don't feel like that's the same. Now they all want a podcast.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm fine with it, but why? Where and how are you going to, if it's to get lead gen for the design studio, then what's your point of view coming into the marketplace to drive consumers to care about it and listen to it? Because if it doesn't have a focus, like you said, the editorial calendar, if it doesn't have a focus, if it doesn't have a point of view, it's just nonsense. It's just blah, 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 right? And that's hard to do, I think. I think that's hard to do. And you need that, just like in your branding, whether it's your website, whether it's your Instagram, you need that differentiator. You need to know why do I want to listen to Sally Smith's podcast about interior design? Because if it can't answer the question, then nobody's going to. or they're going to bip in and bip out and then float around. Because there's two. When we started, there was still 600,000 podcasts when we started, right? But like I know for me, even in 2015, 2016, my immediate friends and family were like, what is a podcast? So in 2013, that had to be that way for you. And so, but now it's in your car. You put your car on and Apple Play has got the podcast app there. So it's even more important to have a defined point of view if you're going to enter it. Enter it all day long, but know why.
It's so funny too, because in 2013, thank goodness. So it's funny because coming from radio, coming from broadcast, I'm my own editor. I do everything. I shoot, I record, I edit, I produce, I publish, I do everything.
Wow.
And I've always done it that way. So I've never been beholden. There was a jump, I don't know if you remember this, but during the pandemic, there was a jump in cost.
Yes.
Because you had all these editors, all these digital content creators and editors who lost their other gigs and started doing this exclusively, and it ramped the market up. You got to see market effect in real time.
Yes. It's the truth.
And so
don't you get a DM almost every day on Instagram? I'm a podcast editor. I can make your podcast so much better. I'm like, dude, I don't think so.
LuAnn, I get thousands of emails every year about people telling me, and that's one of my pet peeves. You know what another pet peeve is? I love that we're doing this. This is so great. I can't talk about this with anyone else. The pitches.
Do not get me started. We call them dumb ASS pitches. It's another DA pitch? Great. I mean, literally, my podcast, I literally say, I'm not here to talk about the pretty. What I love is the pitch that is, been listening to your podcast, love it so much. Everybody in our team listens. And we want to tell you about Sally Smith, who's an interior designer from such and such. And she's got a coastal aesthetic. And we can talk to her about how consumers, and I'm just like, yeah, but you love the podcast, right? You haven't listened to 20 flipping seconds of it.
And Sally's not a designer. She is an award-winning designer, because every designer is award-winning. You know what? I wish designers would stop saying award-winning, because everyone's award. It's like the Incredibles. You know, if everyone has superpowers, then nobody has superpowers.
I know. I have to tell you, I have to say, I wouldn't be surprised if, to some extent, this sounds a little like, I don't know, who do you think you are? But I do really know in 2016. When I started, Fred Burns started coming on my podcast, and he was a marketing expert, coach for interior designers. And he was the first one that would say to us, what is your only? And he said, have you won an award for ASID? Why aren't you saying an award-winning designer? And I can tell you, Josh, I remember the first 2 or 3 years, I would look at hundreds of interior design websites, and it didn't say award. But then all of a sudden, to your point, 10 years later, everybody is an award-winning designer. The only thing I would tell you about that is not every consumer is reading 40 websites. So if you are an award-winning designer, I still think it's okay to say it. I have to say, if you say what the award is, right? You know, you did win an award. I mean, these NKBA awards here the other night, that's some amazing accomplishments, right?
It's funny. We agree.
Yes.
And we can agree to disagree.
Yes, I hear you.
And I love that.
Yeah.
But to me, it's the same thing as award-winning is the same thing as luxury.
Yes, it doesn't mean a whole lot. You're right.
Luxury doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Because if you ask 10 designers the meaning of luxury, you'll get 12 answers.
Right. I know. It's the truth, because luxury is different to every consumer, right? Like, one consumer, luxury is having somebody do a paint consultation for $200. Another person, luxury is, hop on my private plane and let's go to Paris and shop for antiques.
And someone else, their meaning of luxury, I heard it this week, and it was relevant.
Yeah.
That for someone having luxury was their kid having a mini fridge and a mini kitchenette in their room so that they could go get their apple juice on their own, so that they could empower their child to go get their own snacks, and that they didn't have to be bothered with it. I was like, you know what?
Oh, God, we have hit a new world level here now.
But that's luxury.
That's
luxury equals time.
That's right. You're
luxury
right.
equals empowerment.
Yep, you're right.
I totally get it. The other thing that I think our shows have done is it has empowered lesser known designers to take that step up. It has enhanced opportunities for lesser heard voices,
Yes.
which I think has been great.
Yeah.
I think too, getting back to the booking,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
because now I'm on it.
The bad pitches.
I love my relationships with publicists, and I'm sure you do too. We have some of the best in the industry from coast to coast. There are always, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to bleep myself, but I have a shitty publicist file in my email.
I do too.
And sending a bad pitch doesn't make you a bad publicist.
Right.
It's the arrogance, like
Exactly.
I got one. You know what? I'll give you an example.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I got one recently. I have a policy in my guidelines. I have a whole set of guidelines for guests. You got to keep in mind, I produce one episode a week.
Yep.
And sometimes, some weeks, there's a double. Like I have a series called the Convo by Design Icon Registry, which I've been doing for 2 years now. It's my Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And I've been doing it for 2 years. And so I do one of those every month.
Right.
But generally, it's one a week.
Right.
And I've done that since 2013. So 52 new episodes a year. I have to be judicious.
That's right. You
with-
can't just give them away like chiclets.
No. So I have guidelines that I expect
Yep.
are followed. And I have a publicist. One of my guidelines is I need a 30-day window of exclusivity on the front end, and I need it on the back end.
Love it.
In 2013, this was not an issue.
It
and I
wasn't a
didn't
big
have
deal
it.
then, but it is now. You don't want to
and-
guess that's on every other podcast for the same 3 weeks,
No,
right?
no, and I know that you have the same issue.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have a guest on. There are other shows like, oh, LuAnn had so-and-so on. Let's go book them because they're doing podcasts. Or you'll have a publicist who says, oh, we'll call this month Podcast Month, and we're going to
Yes.
book you on every single
50
show.
shows.
And then in a month or 2 months, they're on everything.
Yep.
And the publicists love it. But note to publicists, we don't love it.
No, we don't.
And we don't appreciate it.
No. And here's the other thing. What's really funny to me is I'm going to take that level is a pet peeve as well, like a bad pitch. But here's another thing for me. Like often I will look at a designer in real life, not, through email, but when I have a real life conversation, and I'll be like, what does it get you and your business to be on 20 industry podcasts? You are spending your retainer money for a publicist, $5,000-$10,000 a month to pitch industry podcasts where no consumer ever is going to hear it. So, like, to me, you want to spend your own time pitching. Maybe you admire Josh and you want to be on the show and it's a bucket list moment. Great. But when you pay somebody $5 or $10K a month to pitch you to industry podcasts that you're never going to get lead gen from, I'm like, what exactly is the point here?
Well, and it's interesting. That's a great point. At the same time, would you consider your show to be industry only?
Yes.
You would?
Yes.
Yeah. See,
You're broader industry.
I'm not.
Yes. Okay, so then they might get lead gen from your show.
But here, it's strategic, because here's what happened. When I started the show, my intent was to be 100% consumer. I was going to introduce creatives to consumers.
Gotcha.
Then, about a year into it, I realized this is all trade.
Yeah.
This is 100% trade.
Yeah.
So I went in that direction.
Yeah.
The pandemic, one of the things that I learned I do these design leadership gatherings, and I've been doing them since 2017.
Oh, nice.
Small groups, peer-to-peer conversations
Nice.
with designers. And I realized something about 9 months after the pandemic started. So it started in March, so right around the end of the year into 2021, I realized that I was getting more emails from consumers that I'd ever received before.
Wow.
Dawned on me. Because the show had blown up during the pandemic,
Yeah.
it really blew up.
Yeah.
That consumers were coming to the show to learn how designers were accomplishing their tasks of addressing the pandemic.
Interesting.
And so it changed. But I didn't want to become a consumer.
Yeah. At that point, you had niche.
So what I do is I do portfolio reviews, and I go through projects, and consumers seem to really love that.
That's nice.
And so right now we're about 70-30, between 70-30 and 60-40.
Okay.
And I'm happy. For me, that's a sweet spot. But it's really interesting because, to your point, earned media from a publicist's perspective is great, but if you're a designer and you're paying for that fee, why in the world would you want to be talking to other designers exclusively?
And the thing is, listen, my show is built on 1,100 interviews with designers, so I appreciate it. We enjoy it. You teach something to your colleague, and there's no reason not to do it. It's a fun experience. It's a check off your list. You admire one of the hosts of any of the design business podcasts or industry podcasts, but when my line is, wait, your 5K this month went to somebody getting you on 10 design podcasts in the industry? No. You say, hey, these are my top 3 that I admire. I'd like to be on those. That'd be awesome just for fun, shits and giggles or whatever, but not I'm spending my retainer money on this. It's crazy. So, but.
When you think about where you are in context to where you started, do you think about what you want to be doing in 5 years from now?
Oh, yeah. I'm a head person.
Not in business.
Yeah.
Specifically with the show.
Yes. No, I'm already, I started last year announcing and talking about how I'm going to switch to a format, which I'm calling NBA format. In my mind, for the last 10 years, I've given you your undergrad in interior design business. Literally everything you need to know. You can come and listen to 1,200 episodes and get your undergrad. Now I'm going to curate that content, and I'm going to answer a specific question in a compilation episode that is the MBA episode. So you are a 5, 10, 15-year business veteran or in design, or even 1 year, and you need to hire a new employee. Well, you don't want to go to my category list, and there's 40 shows on hiring and team management. You want to go, I just want the show on job descriptions and job interview. Right? And so now what I'm going to do is I'm taking this back catalog of massive content, and I'm pulling the best clips of what 5 different people over the course of 10 years said to us about hiring with job descriptions and job interview techniques. Boom. And so that's the new format coming out, and that will give the show another 10 years of life, because I mean, just in the hiring category alone, I could probably create 50 shows from my back content, but it's going to serve. So if you're new in the industry, go to the full-length shows. You're seasoned and you believe and trust me and trust my information and my advice, then go to that specific episode. And then that'll just, because honestly, Josh, after 10 years, it's like the 45-minute conversation on you need to know your numbers. It's a little done. We've done it 15, 20 times. If you aren't doing it yet, you're never going to do it, sweetie. Just pretend that that you like it, but you're never going to. So it's time for a switch, and the switch is now. It'll come out over this year, and it'll take me through the next 5 years easy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what about you? What about your show, and what's your next direction? Do you have an iteration coming, or are you on loving what everything is happening now? See, for me, I needed a change, but where are you at?
No, I am. It's funny. I'm so excited about what's coming next. So let me back up a second. My son, Jack, graduated college in 2025. He's an engineer. He's a computer engineer, computer architecture.
Oh, wow.
And so I do the programming for the West Edge Design Fair in Santa Monica, and I've been doing it for them for 8 years. So my kids have been coming with me to live events since they were in their early teens. They've been coming.
They're your roadies, right?
For the last 13 years. And so my son, when he was going to school, we always joked about it, like, we need to work on something. And he actually came to me, and we had this conversation, and he said, I'm an outsider. He's an outsider. He's not in our industry.
Right.
And he was like, what you guys are missing is a narrow focus on community. You have your regionals. You have your major events. But there's a gap in communication between some markets that don't have strong designer communities. And I was like, what should we do? This year, we're launching Shelter Republic. Shelter Republic is a closed-end community for the design and architecture industry.
Wow.
So what that means is, you know how on Facebook, you will have groups. You'll have a lot of groups, and it's great. But you, as a designer, you can't be totally honest and forthcoming because you've got other people looking at you.
You don't know who else is in there.
You got prying eyes.
Yeah.
And I thought, like these peer-to-peer conversations I've been doing since 2017, I wanted to create a space that was safe, where designers could have a conversation about code changes in California, where they can talk about pricing models in a closed environment. So we're launching Shelter Republic this year, and it's going to be by invitation only, and it's going to be closed end. So it's going to be where...
Is it a virtual event company? Oh, it's going to be boots on the ground?
It's going to be boots on the ground, and it's happening, and it's real. Right now, it's broken out into regions of the country. We've got it broken out into 6 regions of the country, where there's going to be a whole course load on things not design business oriented,
right?
But it's my focus. How to create your own content. There's a whole series on how to create your own podcast and do it all yourself without having to pay an expert.
Interesting.
So there will be an opportunity for designers to write articles.
Wow.
To write articles on things that they like.
They can develop their thought leadership.
They can develop their thought leadership. Real articles, not AI slop.
Yes.
But real ideas that you can get peer-to-peer review. You can get peer review on it, where other people say, hey, you might not want to do this, or you might want to say that. So now they can get better at what they're doing. And then that content will get them on panels. It'll get them into programs, might get them published. It's a different way of looking at the business from a creative point of view.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very unique. Is it live yet? Like, is there a website people can go and listen or read about it yet, or no?
It is closed end.
Oh, that's right. So you have to be invited in.
Yes, it is live, but no, you can't find it because that's the whole purpose of it.
Interesting.
So if you want an invitation, what I'm telling people is email me.
Yeah.
Email me, and it's not like, I don't want to name it. It's not like another source where you pay for it.
Yeah.
And then you get a review.
Yeah.
And then they put you in it.
Yeah.
It's not that.
Yeah.
We're not charging for it.
Okay.
There's no cost on it.
Oh.
But it's closed end.
Interesting.
So no, you can't find it anywhere else. Here's the thing, LuAnn. I do think that we lack the ability to have conversations. You come to KBIS, you have great conversations here. It's once a year.
Yes.
It's once a year. And you know, I don't know anyone who can make every event every year all the time. This is an essential event and you have to come to it every year.
Yes.
But then you're talking once a year to certain relationships. I wanted to create an environment where you can have a daily conversation, and it's a safe space where you're not going to be judged by people you don't even know.
So tell me, Josh, if I'm listening to this episode with you and I'm intrigued, but give me the direct line. This Shelter Republic is for me if I should be the one to email you if this is what I want, or I can offer, or I can deliver. What's that actual? Who's the ideal candidate that should email you?
Yeah, email me at convobydesign@outlook.com. That's my email. That's where I get my pitches. That's where all the publicists know to reach me. But same email address. If you are a designer who has been doing this for 30 years, if you're Bunny Williams, you have no interest in this.
You don't need it.
This is not. You'll be bored. It's not for you.
Right.
If you are a designer who has been doing this for the 3 to 5 year window, this is a 100%, you absolutely need to be here. If you're a designer who's been doing this in the 15-year window and you want to learn how to start doing digital media and you want to start writing, you want to start getting your name out there in a different way, you may be award winning. You may have appeared in the magazines because of your projects, but now if you want to share your voice, if you want to start telling stories, this is for you.
Interesting.
But like I said, if you're an architect, if you're one of the 4 horsemen of Ramsar, right? You have no interest in this.
You don't need it.
You're not.
You don't. It's not. Yeah.
It's not for you.
Right.
But it's also.
And is it a commitment, or it's like I have one great idea, thought leadership idea? Can I submit it for an article, or is it a commitment where you're an ongoing?
They submit it themselves. Once you're accepted into this, you're in the community. You get to see what everyone else is posting. You get to post. You get to respond. It's creating more conversations in real time.
Okay, so it's like a town newspaper, but only the people you are letting in and you are vetting can have the newspaper.
That is a great way to put it.
Okay.
By subscription. It is, but there is no cost. So, and what's cool about it is there's a national umbrella, and then there are 6 regions of the
Interesting.
country so that you can get into finer nuances. If you're in Texas, you're having different conversations than you are with folks who are on the coast.
Right.
Sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes.
Often, not
Yeah.
always, but often, right.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. And
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then the next tier after that is going to be an event series. Then we're going to start doing live events.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so
that's
happy for you.
Thank you. That's the plan. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Having a plan and having the confidence to be in that moment
Yeah.
is comforting.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm sure you find the same. For me, the idea comes, but then I have the network around me, the support, the advisors, the people that I'm like, is this the greatest idea I ever had, or am I out of my mind idea?
Peer review is a scary and wonderful thing. LuAnn, I cannot thank you enough. We finally did it.
I know, Josh. This has been outstanding. Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
No, I appreciate it so much. This was awesome. So there you go. This was fun for me to put together because I hadn't listened to those clips in a while. And also when editing and re-listening to my conversation with LuAnn, such a joy. I'm so glad that we had a chance to sit down. Thank you, LuAnn, for taking the time to do this. Greatly appreciated. Thank you to KBIS. Thank you to Emerald. Thank you to Flying Camel and everyone who made the KBIS experience so amazing this year. Thank you to my incredible partner sponsors, Pacific Sales, Kitchen and Home, Timber Tech, the Best Buy Company, James Hardy, and Shelter Republic. Their sponsorship of Convo by Design allows me to seek out sublime design stories from beyond the work itself and showcase unique personalities, chasing new ideas and changing the way we think about design and architecture, and present it to you. So please give them an opportunity on your next project. Thank you for listening and sharing this journey of ours, 13 years in the making and going strong. Please keep those guest suggestions coming, as well as thoughts on where you would like to see the show record live in the future. Convo by Design at Outlook.com and on Instagram, Convo by Design with an X. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, be well, stay focused and driven so you can rise above the chaos.